Do you want more power? Would you like more bat speed? Would you like to react faster and actually catch up to the ball quicker? One of the most common questions that I get on social media these days is, how do I increase my power? How do I increase my numbers? How do I increase my exit velocity? How do I hit the ball farther? How do I have more power? How do I do this? How do I do that? The power and bat speed stuff is super important these days, not just for how hard you're gonna hit the ball and how far you're gonna hit the ball, but it builds confidence. And I'm gonna give you the top four things that you can do today immediately to increase your bat speed and your power. These are proven facts that I've used for 2 decades that really work, and I'm gonna give you the secrets behind them and what you can do to actually get that bat speed and power better. Stay tuned and watch. Baseball truth: you shall know the truth, and that truth shall set you free both mentally and physically. We are going to talk about something that everybody wants to learn more about these days. It's about bat speed and power. But before we start, make sure you check out our sponsor over here, ballplayersupply.com. Check out ballplayersupply.com. Check out their stuff. Bat speed and power is the number one question that I get these days regarding how to improve my hitting. I get a lot of questions, obviously, but this is one. How do I increase my bat speed and power is one that's regularly asked on a daily basis by everybody from all ages, from even coaches and kids that are in pro ball to all the kids in youth sports and stuff like that. And it's relatively simple. It's relatively easy to do, but a lot of times people don't get the right information on what it takes to actually do that. So I'm gonna give you the top 4 things today that I've used over the course of the last 2 decades, over 20 years of doing this, that actually work. These are proven things that actually work if you stick with it and you continue to work on it and you listen to what I'm gonna tell you and you actually go get it and get it done. What I will say before I start is this stuff takes time. This stuff takes a while to do. A lot of times, with this culture that we are in, with data-driven stuff, with all the cool technology stuff that's out there with Rapsodo and hit tracks and radar guns, readings, all that stuff's awesome and it's all out there. You got to be careful not to get too analytical with that stuff. We do use some of this stuff, and I'm going to talk about this here in the future, but for the most part, I want you guys to understand, like, this stuff is super important, but you got to take time to do it. It's a process of development. You're not just gonna go, from a guy that hits no bombs to hitting 20 bombs in a day. It just doesn't work. So the first disclaimer I want to talk about before we even get into what it takes to actually create better bat speed and power is a lot of the bat speed and power stuff that I teach for kids isn't even about hitting home runs. It's not about hitting tanks. It's not about hitting nukes. It's not about hitting bombs. It's not about hitting the ball over the fence. It's not even about exit velocities and how hard you're hitting the ball. What it's about doing things that actually build mental confidence for you to be able to step in the box with more confidence and to be more mentally aggressive. So when we're doing a lot of bat speed and power talks, I teach all of our kids at every level, both the boys and the girls. We work on a lot of power development for that one thing. It's about building confidence with what you're doing. There's some kids that will never hit home runs growing up, but I still teach them how to hit with power, how to actually explosively swing the bat with their body, because it actually builds confidence with what they do. So when they do step into the box, they're 100% more confident with being able to catch up to the ball and react to the ball better. So that's disclaimer number 1. So just understand that this stuff is pretty cool. It's important to do, but at the same time, don't get so caught up with your numbers. You go to all these events these days and they're caught up with exit velocities and all this stuff that's pretty much irrelevant. Do you hit the ball hard is the main focus. So I'm gonna tell you things that's actually gonna help you do this, but remember, the main focus is to actually help you create more confidence than anything else. So the first things that we're gonna talk about is there's mechanical stuff that you can do that's actually gonna help you increase your bat speed and power. So I'm gonna give you 4 things. The first thing is mechanical issues. You know me, you guys that watch my videos, I'm not a mechanical guy. I don't get in arguments over mechanics. I don't debate mechanics. Mechanics are what they are. It ain't rocket science. Go copy a big leaguer. It is what it is. But there are some mechanical things that I think don't get taught the proper way that doesn't allow you to actually increase and maximize your full potential power. So the first one is loading with intent, or being ready to hit. I did a video a few weeks back about being ready to hit. A lot of kids these days, they'll get taught information about how to swing the bat, so when they load, they're just loading the certain way, but they're not loading to get ready to hit. They're not loading with the intent of, I'm gonna smash the ball. So the first thing that you can do, and this is gonna help you a lot, is load with the intent of, I'm gonna crush, and I'm gonna basically get myself ready to smash. The second thing, and this is very common because of this whole inside the ball approach, which is right, extension through the ball approach, which is right, but this is very common because you get very pushy. So the second thing is actually attacking your swing from your loaded spot. So when you go to swing the bat, the way to increase bat speed and power is to actually swing the bat from your loaded spot. A lot of times, this is what happens these days, as a lot of kids will be inside the ball and try to stay inside and through the ball, maybe having an oppo approach. They're trying to stay inside and get extension. So they lose a lot of bat speed and power because they go inside and they end up being pushy. I call it pushy extension. Don't push the ball, swing the bat to the ball. Another one is quick hip rotation. So a lot of times coaches can teach you what the hips are supposed to do. Again, it ain't rocket science. Your hips are supposed to rotate to the ball. And the quicker your hips are, the quicker your hands will be. Everybody's heard that your hips start the swing. It is what it is. Yes, it is. But you got to be able to rotate your hips quickly. If you speed up your hips and you have explosive quick hip rotation, your hands and your power is going to increase dramatically. So speeding up your hips is another one too as well. And then the one major mechanical thing out of all the mechanical things that is very rare these days as far as kids understanding is as you hit the ball, as you're getting to your contact point, you need to learn how to speed your bat head up through the ball. We call it top hand whip, where your top hand whips through the ball or your top hand snaps through the ball. You have to actually speed your bat up when you hit the ball versus slow your bat down when you hit the ball. So what a very common thing is these days is kids will try to focus on doing this pretty swing and finish high and do all this great stuff, but as they're hitting the ball, there's no power, there's no whip action, there's no bat speed through the ball, so they actually lose a lot of power because they're not explosively using that top hand to whip. So those four mechanical things kind of entail the whole mechanical aspect of helping you actually increase your bat speed and power. Load with intent, okay? Get yourself ready to hit. Attack from your load. As you're swinging the bat, swing the bat, get top hand whip through the ball and actually speed up your hips and everything will increase mechanically. That's just one of the things. So while we're doing these things, you got to understand all these add up together too as well. Not one of these things is going to be the most important per se to actually increase bat speed. So depending on the type of hitter you are and what you need, one of these specific things might help you a lot and some other ones might not. But if we add them all together and we're working on all these regularly, you'll find that it actually helps. The second most important thing when it comes to actually increasing your bat speed and power is probably the most important in my opinion from what I see on a regular basis. And that's a lack of mental aggression and mental explosiveness. You're going to increase power and bat speed if you mentally get more aggressive and more explosive. If you swing the bat versus perform a swing. So if you want to get that extra power and that bat speed, a lot of it is just dictated by mental aggression and increased explosiveness, if you want to call it. I do a lot of training with kids, and one of the first things that I try to work on with kids is as they swing the bat, because they've been roboticized throughout the year, is to get them freeing their mind mentally to be more aggressive and be more explosive. If you can do this one thing, if you can create regular explosive mentality when you swing the bat, your power and your bat speed will increase. It will. It just happens regularly. But what happens is a lot of times kids get locked up mentally because they're trying to perform a certain swing or trying to do it a certain way, and their swing literally becomes slow motion because they're trying to do it a certain way. So if you can release that freedom mentally to get in there and attack the ball and have that mental aggression, the overall power increases dramatically. That's the number one thing that I see with kids these days, especially the younger kids that are just kind of figuring out how to swing the bat. Like, mental aggression is key for power and bat speed. The third thing that actually helps you guys a lot with power and bat speed is weighted bats, weighted balls, and other tools that actually help push you a little bit. So when we hit, we use a lot of weighted bat stuff. We'll put weights on the handle. I'll tape weights to the bat. We do a lot of overload, underload training. I make our younger kids swing way heavier bats than they're normally used to. I try to put on extra added ounces on everything. We use the hitting jackets. If you guys have seen those are important. But the idea behind weighted bats, there's no proven fact. Listen to this. There's no proven science that proves that if you use weighted bats, that your bat speed and your power is going to increase. There's no proven science. You can't prove it. It's impossible to prove it. But what I will say is Troy's everyday observable science that I see is when you put a weighted bat in your hands and you swing it regularly, and you swing it regularly off challenging pitches and challenging movements and faster speeds, you're building confidence in your bat speed, and you believe that you're swinging the bat faster and with more power. And it really does challenge your brain to give more. So when you're using weighted bats, it's an important tool to actually help you believe that you're getting more power in your swing. You watch a big league game, you watch college games, everybody swings weighted bats on deck. Why? Because they get loose, number one. But number two, it really helps them focus on, this is gonna feel a certain way. When I grab my regular bat, it's gonna make it feel lighter. So it's that feel of what they're feeling that is the reason why they do it. The weighted balls are a big thing that we use too. There's the weighted balls, the sand balls. We use those to learn how to power through a ball. When we were back in the day, we used to hit the, volleyballs and basketballs and soccer balls off a tee. But nowadays they have all these awesome tools with weighted balls. But when you're doing the weighted balls, the whole idea behind hitting a weighted ball is to actually power your swing through it and to speed up that top hand and actually feel that whip action through the ball. So weighted bats, weighted balls are important. The other thing I call it is tools. So we have tools that are pretty expensive. God blessed us and allowed us to get some of these awesome things with HitTrax, Rapsodo. The tools are there to challenge you mentally to give more. So if you have a radar gun, you have a pocket radar, whatever it is you have, it just helps you get more. When you see that number and you have a number of, let's say my exit velocity is 90 and you want it to be 100, you have a number, you're gonna find ways with your body to be more explosive when you're tracking that with some sort of radar or something like that. If you don't have access to it, that's fine too, but if you do, it's good to do that occasionally to see what your body can give as far as giving more. And we do a lot of HitTrax and a lot of that stuff, not for the analytical data, and we're not going to argue about that. We don't do HitTrax and Rapsodo for the analytical data. We do it with the sheer purpose of being able to challenge yourself mentally to give more, to hopefully give extra power, extra bat speed in their brain to give it. So just know that the analytics and stuff are cool, but at the same time, I don't get too involved with that. We're more concerned about giving kids more explosive confidence with what they're doing. And then the last one, and this one obviously is dictated by the older kids, depending on how old you are, is getting in the weight room. You lift, bro? Like, get in the weight room. If you're a serious ball player, serious meaning you want to play high school, if you want to play college ball for sure, you better start lifting by the time you're about 14, 15 years old. And you better take weight training serious, and you better take weight training to the next level if you want to do it. If you're stronger, you're quicker. If you're quicker, you're more confident and you'll be a better hitter. Even you younger kids, I don't basically recommend lifting weights till you're about 14, 15 years old. Maybe if you're a big 13-year-old, you can do push-ups. You can do pull-ups, you can do squats, you can do things that's gonna help increase your strength. I will say this right now. If you're just kind of a good ball player and you wanna play at the college level and you're not weight training, you have zero chance to play at the college level. One of the biggest regrets that I have as a ball player is not lifting as hard as I should have lifted. I just did it just to kind of go through the motions because they made me, and it was like, at that time I felt like it was a waste of time and why is this gonna help? But if I would have got bigger and stronger during that time, power increases, bat speed increases, everything increases. I don't wanna bring this up, but I am going to bring it up. The steroid era wasn't about the steroids themselves and the muscles themselves. It takes hand-eye coordination to actually hit the ball. But what I will say through the steroid era, the one thing that I've learned over it is it's not about anything else besides the strength involved. Those guys were physically stronger, which made them more confident. And I'm not gonna argue about it, but the whole point of me bringing that up is because those numbers were crazy because they were physically stronger to the ball. I'm not saying you need to walk around and be a meathead and be 300 pounds of straight muscle, but I am saying strength increases your bat speed and your power tremendously. And if you're not taking the weight room seriously as you grow up, you ain't gonna have a chance to play at a different level, at a higher level. It's just not gonna happen. So those are the four main things that if you do them. Now listen to me, because this is the most important thing I want you to get out of this part. You have to do it regularly. This is something you have to do regularly in BP. You have to work on the explosive stuff, even when you're hitting off a tee. You have to get stronger daily. You have to try to get those weighted bats, those weighted balls. You have to mentally compete and be mentally more aggressive on a regular basis. And when you do it, it might not be a huge jump from, I can hit the ball over a fence all of a sudden. It might just be slow, a process of getting there, but it's going to help, but you got to do it regularly. This isn't something that you can pick up a bat once or twice a week and say, I'm going to try to work on my bat speed and power stuff. It's something that you do on a regular basis. So I want to encourage everybody watching this video, take those four things that we talked about, the mechanical ones, the mental ones, the weighted bats and the weighted balls and the weight training, and get that done regularly and do it every day. Do it in your everyday BP, because if you do it and you train yourself how to do it, then when you get in the game, Then when you get in the game, it's not about hitting home runs. It's about getting in there and being more confident, and those things are gonna happen if you're strong enough. So remember, get this stuff done. It's not about hitting bombs. It's about building confidence to allow you to be the best hitter that you can possibly be, not because of how far you can hit the ball, but because you stepped in the box and you know that your bat speed and power is at its max, and you're confident, and you're more confident than everybody else. God bless.